The Aeneid, Section 1, Year 1. When Turnus saw that the Latins were disheartened, broken by war going against them, that the fulfilment of his promises was now being acclaimed, and that he was being singled out in their eyes, of his own accord he blazes implacably and raises his spirits. Just as, in the Carthaginian fields, that lion, wounded in the breast by the hunter's serious blow, then finally begins the fight, and rejoices as he shakes the hairy muscles on his neck, fearlessly breaks the robber's weapon which is fixed in him, and roars from his blood-stained mouth. In a similar fashion, violence swells in the fired-up Turnus. Then he addresses the king thus, and agitated begins as follows. There is no delay, as far as Turnus is concerned. There is no reason why the cowardly followers of Aeneas should take back their words, nor to refuse what they agreed. I am engaging with him. Bring the sacred vessels, sire, and draw up the agreement. Either I shall send the Trojan deserter of Asia with his right hand down to the underworld, let the Latins sit and watch, and alone, with my sword, I shall refute the shared accusation, or let him rule the conquered, and let Lavinia pass over to him as his wife. Page 2. To him, Latinus replied with a calm heart. O youth outstanding in spirit, it is right that I should take counsel and fearfully weigh up all possibilities with as much more earnestness as you yourself surpass everyone with your bold courage. You have the kingdoms of your father Daunus. You have many cities captured by your hand. Likewise Latinus has gold and goodwill. Latium and the Laurentine fields have other unmarried girls who are not unseemly in birth. Allow me, having removed all subterfuge, to reveal these words, which are quite hard to say, and at the same time absorb this in your mind. It was fated that I should ally my daughter with none of her former suitors, and everyone, both gods and men, prophesied this. Overcome by my love for you, overcome by the kindred blood and the tears of my sorrowing wife, I broke all ties. I snatched the promised bride away from my son-in-law, and took up unholy arms. From that action, Turnus, you see what disasters, what wars assail me, and how great the toils you are the first to suffer. Twice defeated in mighty battle, penned within the city, we protect the hopes of Italy with difficulty. The waves of the Tiber are still warm with our blood, and the vast plains are white with bones. Page 3. Why do I keep wandering so often? What madness changes my mind? If I am prepared to receive the Trojans as allies on the death of Turnus, why do I not rather abolish the battles while he is still alive? What will your kindred Rutulians say? What will the rest of Italy say if I betray you to death? May fortune negate my words. When you seek my daughter in marriage, consider the various chances in war. Pity your aged father, whom sorrowful Ardea, his native land, now separates far from you. But by no means is the violence of Turnus softened by his words. It rises more and grows worse because of the attempted remedy. As soon as he was able to speak, he began to speak as follows. As to this anxiety which you have for me, most noble sire, I pray that you lay it aside for me, and allow me to barter death for glory. I too, sire, hurl spears, and no weak iron from my hand, and blood flows from the wound inflicted by me. Far away will his goddess mother, to hide the fugitive in a womanly cloud and conceal herself in the empty shadows. Page 4. Amata appeals to Turnus not to fight. But the queen, terrified by the new turn of events in the battle, wept, and doomed to die, tried to hold back her fiery son-in-law. Turnus, by these tears, by any respect for Amata that touches your mind, I beg you, you are now the only hope. You are the support of my wretched old age. The glory and empire of Latinus are in your hands. On you the whole house leans and rests. One thing I beg. Cease to join in hand-to-hand fighting with the Trojans. Whatever fortunes await you in that contest of yours await me also, Turnus. I shall leave this hated light together with you, and as a captive I shall not see Aeneas as my son-in-law. Lavinia received her mother's speech, sprinkling her burning cheeks with tears, in whom a great deal of redness had placed fire beneath, and ran over her heated face, just as if a person stained Indian ivory with blood-coloured purple dye, or when white lilies, mixed with many a rose, grow red. Such colours did the maiden produce on her face. Him did love disturb, and he fixed his countenance upon the maiden. He burns more for the battle, and addresses Amata with a few words. Page 5. Turnus rejects Amata's appeal. Do not, I beg you, do not pursue me with tears, nor the bad omens so great as I go into the battles of cruel war, mother, for Turnus cannot freely delay death. Idmon, as messenger, take these words of mine, which are not likely to please the Trojan tyrant. As soon as tomorrow's dawn, riding on her purple wheels, grows red in the sky, let him not drive the Trojans against the Rutulians. Let the arms of the Trojans and the Rutulians rest. Let us end the war by our blood. Let Lavinia be sought as a wife on that plain. When he had delivered these words, and quickly returning to his house, he demanded his horses, and rejoiced as he gazed at them neighing before his face. Erythia herself gave these horses to Polymnus as a glory, since they surpassed the snows in their whiteness, and the winds with their galloping. The charioteers stood around swiftly, and pat their chests, smacked by their hollow hands, and combed their hairy necks. Page 6. Then Turnus himself put around his shoulders the breastplate, scaly with gold and white brass, and at the same time fits onto it for handling a sword, shield, and the sockets for the red plume. The sword which the god himself who ruled the fire had made for his father Daunus, and had dipped it glowing hot in the Stygian water. Then he forcefully seized his mighty spear, which stood leaning against a huge column in the middle of the palace, the booty of Auruncian actor, and shook the spear so that it quivered, shouting, "Now, you spear which has never disappointed my appeals, now the time is at hand. You the mightiest actor used to wield, you the right hand of Turnus now wields. Grant that I lay low the body of the Trojan eunuch, and with mighty hand tear to pieces his breastplate, torn away from his body, and defile in the dust his hair, curled with hot iron and dripping with myrrh." By these feelings of madness is he driven along, and from the whole face of the blazing Turnus sparks burst forth. Fire flashes from the fierce eyes, just as when a bull raises terrifying bellows for the beginning of fights, or pushing against the trunk of a tree tries to take out his anger on his horns, disturbs the wind with his blows, or practices for the fight by scattering the sand with his hooves. A plot jump to line 614. Page 7. Meanwhile, the warlike Turnus, on the very edge of the plain, pursues a few stragglers, now more sluggishly, and now less and less rejoicing in the success of his horses. The air brought to him this shouting mixed together with unseen terrors, while the sound and joyless murmur of the confused city struck his pricked-up ears. Woe is me! Why are the fortifications disturbed by so much grief? Or what is the shouting so great rushing from the distant city? Thus he spoke, and out of his mind pulled up the reins and stopped. Moreover, as his sister, turned into the appearance of his charioteer Metiscus, was controlling the chariot, horses, and reins, she met him with the following words. Turnus, let us pursue the Trojan-born ones by this route, where victory first reveals the way. There are others who can defend the houses with their hands. Aeneas is attacking the Italians and joins battle with them. Let us too inflict cruel deaths upon the Trojans with our hands. You will withdraw inferior neither in the number of those slain nor in the glory of battle. Page 8. In reply to this, Turnus said, O sister, not only did I recognize you long ago, when first by guile you confounded the treaties and dedicated yourself to these wars, and now you try to conceal the fact that you are a goddess in vain. But who wanted to send you down from Olympus and endure such great toils as these? Was it so that you might see the cruel death of your wretched brother? For what am I doing? Or what chances now promises me safety? Before my very own eyes, I myself saw mighty Murranus perish, than whom no other is left to me more dear, calling me with his voice and defeated by a mighty wound. Unlucky Ufens died, so that he might not see our shame. The Trojans possess his body and arms. Am I to suffer the destruction of our homes? That alone is missing from our misfortunes, and I am not to refute Drances' words by my right hand. Shall I turn in flight, and will this land see Turnus fleeing? Is dying wretched to such an extent? You spirits of the dead, be good to me, since the god's favour is turned away from me. I shall descend to you as a spirit holy and innocent. I shall descend to you as a spirit, holy and innocent of this blame, and never unworthy of my great ancestors. Page 9. He had hardly finished saying these words. Lo, carried on a foaming horse through the middle of the enemy, Saces flies, wounded full in the face by an arrow, and rushes, beseeching Turnus by name. Turnus, in you is our last hope. Pity your followers. Aeneas thunders with his arms and threatens to cast down the highest citadels of the Italians and consign them to destruction. And even now the torches are flying towards the roofs. The Latins turn their countenances and their eyes towards you. King Latinus himself wonders about whom he should call his son-in-law, or what treaties he should incline. Furthermore, the queen, who placed very great trust in you, has died by her very own right hand, and frightened out of her wits, has fled the light. Messapus and fierce Aeneas alone in front of the gates and maintaining the lines. Around them on both sides stand thick masses, and with drawn swords bristles an iron cornfield. Meanwhile, you drive your chariot to and fro on the deserted plain. Page 10. Turnus was dumbstruck, confused by the mixed image of the situation, and stood in silent contemplation. In one heart burned huge shame, madness intermingled with grief, love driven by the Furies, and courage aware of itself. As soon as the shades were scattered, and the light was restored to his mind, troubled, he turned the blazing circles of his eyes towards the fortifications, and from his chariot looked again at the great city. And behold, a coil rolled along the flames between the stories, billowed towards the sky, and gripping the tower with thick beams which he himself had constructed, and had placed wheels beneath and laid high gangplanks. Now, sister, now the fates are winning. Stop delaying. Let us follow where God and harsh fortune summon. I am determined to join in hand-to-hand fighting with Aeneas. I am determined to endure in death all the bitterness it involves. And no more will you see me, sister, acting shamelessly. Allow me, I pray, to fulfill this wild madness before I die. Page 11. He finished speaking, and quickly leapt down from the chariot to the fields, rushed through the enemy, through the weapons, deserted his sorrowful sister, and burst through the midst of the bands of men with speedy course. And just as when a rock, torn away by the wind, rushes headlong from the summit of a mountain, or a violent rainstorm has washed it forth, or length of time gliding by with the years has loosened it, the ruthless mass, with mighty impetus, is borne headlong, and bumps on the ground, rolling down with it woods, cattle, and men. Thus Turnus rushes through the scattered hands of men to the walls of the city, where a great amount of earth is moist with spilt blood, and the breezes whistle with its spears. He signals with a hand, and at the same time begins to speak with a loud voice. Rutulians, restrain yourselves now, and check your weapons, Latins. Whatever fortune there is mine. It is more reasonable that I alone on your behalf atone for the broken treaty, and settle the matter with the sword. Page 12. All those in the middle departed, and made a space. Meanwhile, Father Aeneas, on hearing the name of Turnus, left both the walls and the highest citadels, cast aside all sources of delay, broke off all tasks, leaping for joy, and made a horribly thundering sound with his arms. As great as Athos, or as great as Eryx, or as great as Father Apenninus himself, when he resounds with rustling oak trees and rejoices in his snowy summit, raising himself towards the breezes. Now indeed the Rutulians, the Trojans, and all the Italians eagerly turned their eyes upon the pair. Both those who were occupying the high fortifications, and those who were beating the bottom of the walls with the battering ram, and laid down the armour from their shoulders. Latinus himself marvels that the huge men, born in different parts of the world, have met together and are deciding the matter with the sword. Page 13. But the two men, when the fields lay open on the empty plain, hurling their spears from a distance, with rapid motion they rush into battle with their shields and sounding bronze. The earth produces a groan. Then they redouble frequent blows with their swords. Chance and courage are mixed together into one, and just as on mighty Sela or on high Tiburnus, when two bulls rush into hostile battle with their foreheads facing each other, the herdsmen have already withdrawn in fear. The whole herd stands dumb in fear, and the heathers wonder who is able to rule the glade, whom the whole herd should follow. The bulls exchange blows between themselves with much force, and holding their ground, lock horns and wash their necks and shoulders with copious blood. The whole glade resounds with their bellowing. In a similar fashion, Trojan Aeneas and the Daunian hero clash together with their shields, and a huge crash fills the air. Jupiter himself holds two scales, having made the tongues of the balance equal, and puts into them the differing destinies of the pair, to see whom the struggle would condemn, and which way death would incline with its weight. That is the end of Aeneid, Year 1.